Hi everyone, Alan Reece with Frank and Kraft, back again with Susan Wack, our geriatric care manager. Today we're going to talk a little bit about in-home care, what it is, how to find some, and why it may be helpful. Hi Susan.
Hey, Alan. Good
How
to
you
see
do-
you again.
How you doing today?
Good.
So tell us a little bit about in-home care, both finding it and I guess first, what exactly is in-home care and what are the different options that are available?
Okay. Many times when family members are caring for an older adult in the home, usually the older adult wants to remain at home. And there are lots of ways to support that if increased care is needed. And one is through purchasing or going through an agency that provides non-medical home care.
Okay,
And that frequently might mean help with housekeeping, uh, doing dishes, grocery shopping, errands, those kind of things, and companionship. Sometimes it also might include help with bathing, dressing, routine, what we call activities of daily living.
okay. When you say it's specifically called non-medical, so I assume that there's some aspects that are also excluded from that.
Correct, correct. And the agencies are usually very good about explaining to the families what they can and cannot do.
Okay. So if I'm trying to find an agency that will provide some degree of in-home care for me or someone that I care about, what sorts of things should I be looking for?
Well, I think as a consumer, I like to inform my families that you want to ask about what type of agency they are. There are some different levels of non-medical care providers. Frequently, I have family members that will hire a friend of the family or somebody from their church to come in and provide that care.
Okay.
So I call that private duty care that fits under that umbrella. And then there's another category called registry care, which includes an agency that hires independent contractors to come in and provide those services.
Okay. So the company you initially go to then finds another person or group of individuals to come in and provide that work. They're more of an intermediary?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then the last one is non-medical care agencies. They're usually licensed by the state, and they hire the employees. They do criminal background checks, supervision, training, and oversight.
Okay.
So,
What are the advantages of those different types, those different levels of care?
well, it has to do with, I think, some risks and liabilities as well as the level of supervision and management and oversight.
Okay.
Private, as a geriatric care manager, I always want families to be aware of the risks and responsibilities if you're hiring somebody privately.
Okay.
And basically, you're considered the employer of that person. And so you're responsible for paying Social Security, Medicare, workers' comp, unemployment insurance. And if you're not doing that, you open yourself up to a world of potential liability.
Gotcha. So there's apparently some risk there that people might not even be aware they're getting into.
Exactly. And I can't tell you the number of cases where they've hired somebody privately and this aide who maybe followed them in the rehab center and said, "Oh, I can do this for you at home."
Sure.
They go into the home and the aide might injure their back.
Mm.
And then they'll file for workers' comp.
Wow.
And then the state might find out, and the family could be responsible for all those months, years of back pay in terms of Social Security, Medicare, unemployment insurance, and workers' comp.
Wow. That sounds like that's kind of scary.
Yeah, if families decide to hire somebody privately, I strongly advise them to contact a labor employment attorney
Sure.
because there are just too many risks, and you could be set back much more financially. You think you're paying less because private duty care frequently is less expensive, but you could end up paying a lot more in terms of risks and liabilities.
What about the other two options that are out there, the registered and the other type?
The registered registry agency will they act, as you said, as an intermediary. They do criminal background checks. They will do driver's license checks, and they coordinate between the family that needs the care and the independent contractor who wants the position.
Okay.
But again, it's unclear to me, and again, I strongly advise my families to check with a labor employment attorney about what the risks and liabilities are because typically an independent contractor should be paying for their own workers' comp, their own unemployment insurance, the FICA, Medicare, Social Security.
Sure.
But unless you, as the employer of that person, are double checking, you leave yourself open. Some registries are better at checking that than others, but there's a lot of risk with it. So again, I strongly advise my clients to be aware of these risks and to ask questions.
And then that last type where the agency is directly providing the care, I imagine there's a trade-off there because often they may be more expensive,
Correct.
but since they are actually the ones providing care, there's not that same kind of exposure and risk that you find with
Right.
the others.
All of those employees are bonded and insured. They're provided workers' comp, supervision training, criminal background checks are done. It's just one piece of headache that if you as a family member want to hire somebody privately, you don't have to do. It's already taken care of by that agency. And it does not leave you open to the risks.
Okay. So let's say I'm in the situation where I need to find some sort of non-medical in-home care provider. I've made the decision as to what type of agency I want to go with, and now I'm trying to choose among the different types of agencies of that type. What do I want to look for? What sort of questions do I want to ask? What sort of things should I be aware of?
Well, I usually advise family members. I think for me, if I'm if I'm looking for somebody to come and care for my loved one, the things I'd want to know is, well, what kind of supervision do you provide for your employees? How do you know when what happens if they are sick or go on vacation? What kind of backup coverage do you provide? If I don't like this person that's coming into my home, what are my options? Do you ever do you have enough staff to cover when somebody calls in sick, or do you have to go with an outside agency? You know, those are the kind of things that I advise families to ask. And then would I be able to meet with them before I hire them in? Some agencies are very willing to do that. Other agencies don't want to have to pay their caregiver that time to interact with that family member. And what happens when problems arise? Do you, as a family member, have confidence that they're going to work with you to solve those problems? And I think it's always a good idea to find out what kind of quality assurance measures do they have. Do they have somebody on staff that doubles checks after they've been working with you for a while, that you're satisfied? Are there any concerns? And when concerns come up, who are you supposed to call? Who do you deal with in the agency? All of those, you get a sense for their willingness and flexibility to communicate, and the problems are going to invariably arise. But you want to have confidence that this particular company is going to work with you to provide the best services for you.
Gosh, you've given us sort of a lot to chew over. It sounds like it's a pretty complex topic.
It's a very complex topic, and it's very frightening because most of the older adults and family members that I work with, they're worried about letting this stranger into their home.
Sure.
And another thing that I advise is be there at the very beginning. Let them come into the home, but you be present and observe them with your loved one till you all develop a level of confidence with one another, and then gradually, move back and allow them to do what they do best.
Sure. Gosh, this has been really helpful, and I know that in addition to this conversation we're having, you provided some resources to us to help folks discern what they're looking for and questions to ask to help select a care provider.
Yeah, there's some very good, excellent resources out there on questions to ask to be an informed consumer that will be provided, as well as what are the risks and liabilities of hiring somebody privately. That's something that I make sure that if my family members have decided to hire somebody privately, that they sign a form saying that they understand those risks, because I do think that they're serious.
Well, thank you for giving us all this great information, and hopefully it's been helpful to all of you out there as well. Thanks for joining us for this conversation here on the Elder Care channel. And we'll be talking with Susan again in the future, addressing other issues and topics that are often first and foremost in folks' minds as they're weighing the different options that are available to them. Thanks for joining us.